together this morning in opposition to proposed federal rule changes that will affect millions of Americans and tens of thousands of families here in Milwaukee County. And for decades, immigrants seeking better opportunities, a better life in America, have been able to receive assistance with basic and essential human needs without fear of retribution from the federal government. These proposed changes in policy will severely affect how immigrant families make decisions about their health and well-being. It will punish good people who might fall in hardships and awful circumstances for a shot at the American dream. And imagine you apply and receive a student visa, and while you are here, you become pregnant. Currently, if you income qualify, you might qualify for medical care, particularly vital prenatal care. Under the new proposal, this could be used against you. Among other dramatic changes, the DHS proposal would establish a new criteria by negatively weighing factors such as limited English ability, proficiency, poor credit score, limited education, large family size, and certain medical conditions, possibly establishing a minimum also of a $10,000 bond. These proposed changes is yet another attempt by the administration in Washington to foster an environment of fear and unacceptance in the immigrant community, and will create a perverse incentive for immigrants and their families to avoid seeking out health care, housing assistance, and or nutritional assistance when they are in need. If these rules go through, immigrants will no longer be able to benefit from government programs that provide vital services that help give struggling people a leg up, without fear that it will be a negative impact on an immigration case or status. This proposal is malicious, mean-spirited, and purely un-American. With 1 in 4 children being born to immigrant parents in America, this rule could affect millions of people and families, which could include many right here in Milwaukee. These elected officials and community leaders are gathered here today at UMOS to stand together with our immigrant communities in opposition to this disgraceful proposition. We are here to say that we should be tearing down obstacles to become Americans, not creating them. We should be extending our hands, not releasing our tear gas, and we should be building bridges and not walls. I invite my neighbors, colleagues in all Milwaukee County to submit their public comments in opposition to the Department of Homeland Security's proposed public charge rule by December 10th so that your voice is heard. With that being said, I'd like to invite our next speaker on this issue, Congresswoman Gwen Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Velez-Ortiz. And it is so good to be here with other elected officials and other leaders in our community, Dr. Baez, the school board, Carmen, His Honor, the mayor, our county supervisor, and others. And we want to thank particularly Supervisor Velez-Ortiz, Jocasta Samaripa, who's not here, Alderman Jose Perez, and the mayor, who met to make sure that we get the urgent message out to everyone to comment. If you've never written a letter ever before, now is the time to write your comments to www.regulations.gov by December 10th. This is a crisis to expand the definition of public charge. And so eloquently, an eloquent example is one supervisor gave of a woman who might be pregnant and is pregnant with a soon-to-be U.S.-born citizen who may be denied Medicaid because of the changes and expansion of this rule. We can ill afford to give birth or risk the lives of U.S. citizens because of such a pernicious, nefarious move. Here in the state of Wisconsin, we have the highest, some of the highest in the country, infant mortality rates and maternal deaths. infant mortality that rivals infant mortality rates in war-torn countries like Syria. This will expand and increase those risks to expand the definition of public charges. This is an emergency. We ask you all to speak out. I bring you greetings in the name of the Congressional Black Caucus, whose immigration task force and our chair has already made public comments, issued their public comments. I bring you greetings from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, who has weighed in and brought their objections to this to Secretary Nielsen. And I also bring you greetings from the Asian and Pacific Islander Caucus, who has also weighed in on this issue. I have signed on to HR 7052, which would provide no federal funds for the Public Charge Act of 2018. And I've also placed notification on my page with the deadline of December 10th, directing my constituents where to weigh in. So please go to my page or go directly to www.regulations.gov. And if you've never, you make comments all the time on Facebook and the other media. So I know we know how to do this. Now is the time. And this doesn't just affect, you or people from the southern border. This affects people from all over the world. Because as American citizens, we would expect that if we were to go to another country and somehow become ill, and it has happened to me, I have broken a bone on foreign land, and I have been welcomed as a stranger in that country for my immediate humanitarian need to be mended. And even though the doctor couldn't speak the same language that I spoke, the only thing on my body these days that doesn't hurt is that finger that he fixed. So thank you so very, very much. And our next speaker is the mayor of the city of Milwaukee, Tom Barrett.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When I think about our community, I think about immigrants. An area that was first populated by Native Americans several hundred years ago, then became populated by the English, by many, many Germans, by Italians, by Poles, later by Native Americans, by Russians, by the Irish. People came to this community. People came to this country so that they could begin living the American dream. That's the one constant with our community, is that people want to live the American dream. It's true in Milwaukee, it's true in Wisconsin, it's true in the United States. What is so troubling and infuriating about this latest proposal to come out of the Trump administration is it turns that concept upside down. So when we think of Ellis Island, when we think of the Statue of Liberty, when we think about people who want to come to our country legally and want to have a better life for their children, we should do all we can as Americans to be supportive. This proposed rule does exactly the opposite. This proposed rule says to those individuals with limited English, those individuals with not a lot of income, that you're not welcome in our country. Think about this in terms of this community. If 150 years ago, those German families, those Polish families, those Italian families that wanted to come here were told, no, you can't come here because your English isn't good enough. Or those individuals who didn't have great income but thought that they could have a better life for their children if they came here. and our government said, no, we don't want you. This is not our America. This is something that's distorted. This is distorted by a president and an administration that wants to turn people against each other. This is not our America. And this rule needs to be opposed vigorously. December 10th is the last day that comments can be received. And we're asking individuals to do everything they can to make sure that their voices are heard. It's important for them, it's important for their families, but it's also important for us as a people that we do not destroy the Statue of Liberty and all that it stands for, either literally or figuratively. We have to bring back our America and our willingness to put our arms open for those who want to have a better life and want to do it legally. With that, I'll turn it over to the county executive to proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I want to start with a little bit of facts. I think it's important that you understand and the public understands that in addition to elected officials and community leaders opposing this administrative change, we're also here to correct some misstatements that have been made, again, by this administration. When the argument that has been advanced to support this, one of many, is that immigrants are a drain on the economy, they cost health care costs for the rest of us, they don't make us stronger, and it's yet another reason that you, Americans, should be concerned or afraid of immigrants. So an International Journal of Health review of every peer-reviewed study from 2000 to 2018 on the issue of immigrant health care spend found that immigrants have a health care spend that is 1/2 of US-born people. Further, another study showed that immigrants contributed $14 billion more to Medicare Trust Fund than they withdrew. And you know who the beneficiaries of that are? Everyone else who lives in this country. So anyone who tells you that immigrants are costing the healthcare system money, tell them they've got it wrong, it's the other way around. And while we're at it, immigrants of what have always and what always will make this country, more than any other country, a great country. You want to make America great again, you embrace immigrants to do it. That's what's always made us strong. But the reason it's important to speak up is this sort of assertion has been made a lot recently. About a year and a half ago, I got a letter along with 10 mayors from the now former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. That letter threatened to pull federal grants from Milwaukee and 10 other cities because they said we weren't complying with the federal law. We obviously all were complying with the federal law. And we spoke up and said so. At the time, they put out a press release too. And that press release said, among other things, these jurisdictions are crumbling under the weight of violent crime and illegal immigration. None of that is true. But the reason they said it isn't because it's true. The reason they said it is because they want you to be afraid of immigrants. You to associate immigrants or anyone who is different than us with dangerous or expensive. Well, that's not what this country is about. Not now, not ever. There's a reason that the first thing that every one of us up here who's an elected official and every elected official in America does, the first thing we all do, no matter what party, no matter what office, we hold up our hand and we swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And the reason it's the first thing we all do is because it's the most important thing any elected official can do. And there is nothing more fundamental to protecting this country than to protect the clarity that we are a nation of immigrants, and that makes us stronger, not weaker. It saves us money, it doesn't cost us money. It makes us stronger, it makes us more safe, less violent, and when people aren't clear, it's important that all of us speak up. The good news is we spoke up a year and a half ago, and while it took about a year, actually more than a year, a bunch of court cases, a federal court ruling, we did finally get those justice grants. The government did acknowledge that all of us were complying with the law, and the Attorney General who sent the letter is now former Attorney General. We need to speak up now too. It does matter, and I know there's a blizzard of things to pay attention to in your world, and you might say, well, I'm not an immigrant. Yeah, but your ancestors were. We all are, and it's always made us stronger. And more importantly, we're Americans, and let's not let anyone tell us we aren't. With that, I will turn it back to, to Christine Newman-Ortiz from VOSIS. Christine.
The one thing that I'd like to add to what's already been said is that it's very important that families, especially mixed immigration status families, know that this rule has not yet been implemented. And we know that even just rumors lead to people not applying for benefits or that are extremely needed for themselves or their children. So it's really important that people, in terms of any legal resources or questions that they have, there's many that are available here in Milwaukee, certainly with Voces de la Frontera, Centro Legal, Catholic Charities, the Mexican Consulate as well. So there's many resources that people can tap into. The one thing that I would add to what's already been said. Okay. Que es importante que, simplemente agregando lo que ya se ha dicho, que esta propuesta no se ha implementado. Entonces es importante que familias que tienen un ser querido, que es residente, que no tengan el temor de aplicar para beneficios en cual ellos califican a sus hijos, porque esto aún no ha sido implementado. Hay varios recursos aquí, por ejemplo, YUMOS, Voces de la Frontera, Caridades Católicas, el Cónsul Mexicano, hay varios lugares. Pero, diciendo eso, sí creo que es importante afirmar lo que todos han dicho hasta ahorita, que esto está promovido por dos cosas realmente, dos cosas. Uno, la criminalización de personas de bajos recursos, y esto no solamente es limitado a personas que son inmigrantes, esto abre la puerta a otras personas, porque ya sabemos que eso es un problema ya, esto es abrirlo más y más. Y segundo, que esto está promovido por la política de un fuerte racismo y una tendencia de autoridad, un gobierno de autoridad. ¿Qué quiere decir eso? Que como hemos escuchado, ellos están tratando de bloquear la habilidad de personas de América Latina, de otros países, de poder arreglar su estatus aquí y tener todos los derechos que vienen con eso y la voz política también. Y segundo, que cuando esa impunidad, esa criminalización, esa crueldad que está conectado con esta política, también es parte de lo que hemos visto, que un gobierno realmente de la derecha fuerte, afiliado con grupos de odio, y que eso es algo que quiere robar de nosotros, nuestra alma, si permitimos que alguien roba nuestra compasión hacia otro ser querido. Entonces, es importante participar durante este periodo. Y no solamente en esto, porque la lucha sigue, mañana será francamente otra cosa. La cosa es integrarse en todos los cambios y les invitamos a que se afilien a Voces de la Frontera para involucrarse en la lucha de los inmigrantes. Gracias.
Thank you. I just want to make quick closing remarks. Once again, I strongly oppose the Department of Homeland Security proposed rule change. The rules imposed are unprecedented new wealth test. To avoid scrutiny under this proposal, a family of 4 would need to earn $63,000 per year. This, amongst many other proposed changes, will redefine who is worthy of being an American, shifting immigration away from working people and the world's dreamers and towards those who bring high incomes and financial assets. This does not reflect our nation's values. As the Statue of Liberty says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Thank you. We're all done with the press conference for today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good job.